Explain in detail your personal leadership philosophy, providing personal examples of what qualities you feel you would bring to our organization to make it better.
I would want to be a leader that makes employees feel empowered and supported. It's important to lead by example for your employees to know that you're never going to ask them to do anything that you're not willing to do on your own. As Kuznets and Posner stated in the Leadership Challenge, a lot of what your employees see you do is going to be reflected in their own work ethic. And I really liked what Mike Abrashoff brought out in It's Your Ship. If all you do is give orders, all you're going to have is order takers. And that's certainly not the leader that I want to be. I would want to have a staff that wants to take the initiative and feel that they can make their own decisions and that they're going to have a leader that backs them up and that also enables them and empowers them to make the right decision, equipping them to make the right call when it needs to be done.
All right, and what do you look for in a new hire?
I think the old philosophy is the person with the most experience is going to be the most qualified is not necessarily the case. I personally would want to have someone who has a good attitude, who is willing to think outside the box, an aptitude of a willingness to adapt. And so when a problem comes up, they're not thinking about, oh no, I have a problem. They're looking at it as if this is a challenge. Bartman in the Business Insider spoke about the importance of having that creative solution thinking in their intelligence. And that is more along the lines of what I would want to look for. Do I have somebody that we could potentially mold into a great employee? And give them the experience to bring them up to speed, not somebody who necessarily has all this experience but may have some bad habits that are already developed. So what I'm going to look for is that adaptability, an attitude, and somebody who has really good critical thinking skills.
And how would you go about firing an employee?
Dismissing staff is never an easy thing. It is something that does have to be addressed and has to be done. I think Rebecca Knight brought out some wonderful points in the Harvard Business Review in her article, The Right Way to Fire Someone, when she spoke about keeping it brief and using the past tense. This is already something that we've decided, so it should never be thought of as it's a negotiation that the person may be able to fight for their job. This is a decision that's already been made, so we want to keep it brief and to the point, and we also want to definitely show our humanity. This is a person we're dealing with, and it's a big change. So when appropriate, we would want to offer to give references, and we'd also want to explain why we're making this decision, that possibly they're no longer the right fit for the team or their work is not up to the standard that is required. And with that, it is also important to talk to your team to let them know that this is why the teammate was let go. So they're not rumors floating around and conjecture and people developing their own ideas. And sometimes letting go of a poor performer on the team can boost the morale of the team if they know the specifics of why they've been let go. So it is something that needs to be dealt with quickly, but in a very professional manner.
And how do you plan to motivate current employees under your supervision?
Motivation is a really important thing for staff members. It's imperative that they know that their work matters and what they're doing makes a difference. So I like how Zenger and Folkman spoke in the ideal praise to criticism ratio in their article that they talked to a ratio of about 5-1. You want to have 5 positive things to every 1 negative in your feedback. And you shouldn't always have, I'm going to give you a bunch of positive stuff and now I'm going to drop the shoe and give you the negative stuff. Sometimes it should just be positive. It's really important, as was brought out in the Leadership Challenge, that it should be spontaneous. It shouldn't be expected, and it should be given on the spot, because sometimes we know weeks or months can go by and you can get recognition for something that you think, I'm not sure what this is all about. So it is important to have that recognition that motivates. Also, it's really good to learn what specifically motivates each of your teammates. It's going to be different for each person. They're going to have different goals, different aspirations, and they may be at different stages in their career. So as a leader, it is really important that you get to know your teammates well and understand what drives them. What can you do to improve their workload? What can you do to improve their educational aspect of what they're doing? And what can you do to make them a better part of the team?
And what would you say your greatest weaknesses are as a manager?
Well, I think one of my biggest weaknesses is moving too quickly at a faster pace than sometimes my team is able to keep up with. I often will have ideas pop into my head, and I will think about it for some time, but I don't allow my team the same amount of time to mull over the idea, to embrace it, and to know what the goal is and what the direction is. So sometimes I need to slow down and allow everybody to catch up with me. And I think another aspect of perhaps a weakness is sometimes I expect everybody to have the same motivation that I myself have. And that may not necessarily be the case, and that is okay. We're all wired differently. We all have different gifts and skills, and it's important to understand that my motivation is not necessarily going to be the same as everybody else's motivation, and that's what can make a great team, because you have people bringing different talents and different perspectives to the table. And through that, you can cultivate a wonderful team that can really get a lot of things done. All right, thank you. That ends my interview portion of it. And this now is the portion where I defend my grade. Professor TJ, I just thank you so much for the opportunity to be a part of this class. It has really enlightened me a great deal. I have enjoyed this particular course. I would say in the top 3 of the courses that I've taken so far at Boise State. It has changed my approach to how I work with students that come into the clinical rotation, and then also a couple of the other committees that I have the opportunity of being a part of. So that is a great thing. And as far as defending my grade, I feel like I have definitely given my best. And I think that through that, I've learned a lot. I've gotten a lot out of this class, which is a wonderful thing. There have been a couple of times when I have not met the deadline, and my discussion posting grades have been reflective of that, which I totally respect and I think is appropriate. But I would say that my grade is a good solid A. I have learned so much from not just the book itself, but also doing the extra research that was required and reading some of the other viewpoints of my classmates, and seeing a different perspective on what they view leadership as. And it's been a great class, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be part of it and to learn a lot from my classmates. So I would say that I'm a good solid A, and I thank you again for this opportunity. It's been great.